Welcome to a game between me, Godde, and Katastrophe. Um, Katastrophe specifically asked for this battle for me to analyze, and he asked me to have a look on his micro and how he micro his units and the positioning of his units. So we'll see here that Katastrophe starts with some glaives. That's a decent choice. Recently I prefer going spiders on this map, but they can abuse the cliffs here and here somewhat. Glaives can't go all the way, so you can somewhat abuse like recluses and hermits on these cliffs, and yeah. Fleas are pretty decent to harass on this map. The mexes are spread out, so either the opponent is forced to build defenses or keep units back, so it's pretty good. And you can see here that, yeah, Katastrophe just starting with some harassment, and I try to harass this mex. And he goes in against my base, and I have nothing. And here he could try, he's gonna try to go for, no, he's gonna retreat against his Lotus. He doesn't retreat in time. And yeah, he could try to go behind here, it would be a little bit annoying. I luckily got a mex there. You can hide your fleece behind mexes. But as you can see, like, if he had come here, he could have one glaive here and maybe one here, but he's gonna choose to go for this Lotus Turret instead. And that's three glaives are enough to get it, but I start repairing with the Weaver and coming with the Fleece and finish off the last glaive. So, I mean, it depends. If I'm not on the point, yeah, you could do a lot of damage with just glaives. Like, glaives do particularly well against fleas. Like, it's hard to make cost against fleas with glaives, so yeah, it's something to think about before you go into. Like, fleas typically die fast, especially if they're trying to change down a glaive, for example. They die fast, but if they're positioned so they can just stay there and fire at the glaive, they will kill it pretty fast. Like this, they were still engaged here, and I were able to run in and kill the Lotus there. But he could have gone around here and tried to force out Lotusers. In the end, I had to build Lotusers anyway, but it's something to consider. So yeah, here the positioning is like, yeah, you want to try to have basically a glaive at every mex. Like, that's something you can do as Cloaky. You, instead of like building, looks like I'm gonna get this Conjurer here. That's a thing, like, you have to be careful with the Conjurer, so you're not just running past with the glaives. Then I can get it from the other side. Like, I started getting it from this side and I went to the other side. But yeah, basically instead of building turrets, like Lotus turrets, you can just keep a glaive next to mexes. Like, you can even have it on patrol, then it might even kill a few fleas on its own. And here he's trying to scout my base again, but I have some Lotus turrets, and yeah, he's not gonna... I start producing fleas to force him away. And I have Lotus turrets coming here, he's gonna have to scout that. This is a little interesting and fun engagement. Like, he has sent his glaive on attack, and he's gonna try to skirmish against the flea, but I keep moving back and forth, and the glaive is trying to skirmish, and I kinda hide behind the mechs. So that's a thing. Like, sometimes you can abuse the AI if the opponent isn't watching. Like, if he had just run in here and positioned the glaive there, he would have just killed the flea or forced it away. And I get a little more annoying damage here. Like, he could have a glaive patrolling the back here, for example, or maybe back and forth here, and it would be ready to go. Like, you can set a glaive on like low priority selection rank. That way you don't have to like worry so much if you select all the units. Here you can see I'm kind of making a mistake. I moved this Weaver too far forward, and yeah, I'm gonna lose it. So that's pretty good by him and bad by me. And here you can see just a single glaive is forcing me to build a Lotus turret, or forcing me to sacrifice like these. Like, even if it's just standing there, it's preventing me from building these mechs. And if I want to deal with it, I have to set in a lot of fleas, and I'm probably still not gonna make cost. Like, losing just 2 fleas is hard against a glaive, so you're likely to lose like 3 or 4, even if you have overwhelming numbers. So if he would have been on ball here, he could have moved in here and yeah, stop this mech from building, and then yeah, and then retreated before his unit died. And here you can see me again, like, he's not... You should be careful about conjurers. They're weak. They have some of the least HP of all builders. So it might be a good idea to just have a glaive on guard around the conjurer. And I push it to Venom just to deal with that single glaive. And it could also cancel that metal extractor earlier. So yeah, you can stay on glaives, pure glaives, pretty long in spiders. Like, they can do a lot of damage and do run-bys and kill lone Lotus turrets or kill, like, redbacks even. They're pretty bad, sorta, against glaives. Like, a lone redback is easily overrun by glaives. Yeah. And because they don't have any splash damage. But once you get critical mass of redbacks, they're pretty good against glaives. And you can see me here harassing this position. And yeah, Katastrophe forgets about these, but he's trying to deal with these. So yeah, I still lost most of my glaives there. Too bad he forgot about those. They could have maybe gone around and killed that, or maybe even threatened these. Like, I'm starting to get out some Venom Song just to deal with the glaives. So yeah, I'm just spamming forward here with some defenses to try to advance against this position. Like, I'm not too worried about glaives if I have enough turrets, even if my commander is lone. I'm starting to bring up units. I'm planning to push here. And at this point you have to ask yourself, like, should I stay on pure glaive or do I have to transition? Like, I'm starting to cover a lot of the map with Lotus turrets. And that is going to prevent like raids to do any cost-effective raiding, basically. Like, yeah, you can kill a mechs, but you're probably going to lose a lot of glaives in the process. Yeah, so I'm using it. So at this point, yeah, you're probably going to switch to something. Yeah, and here's a lone Reaver. Also this, yeah, I'm starting to produce... Like, this is a bit, what would you say, I don't have much here, but I still have some fleas and I'm building some Lotus turrets. He might, yeah. It's a bit like, if the enemy is building recluses and you might go in and, oh, and you find only recluses and you start killing a lot of recluses. Like, Ronins, for example, they're pretty good against like redbacks. They're really good against redbacks and venoms. So yeah, once you get, that's the thing you can do, like the timing push, like a switch out of glaives into these Ronins. That's pretty good because you're gonna push back this redback, and it's gonna take a lot of time before the enemy has enough recluses to counter it. And he gets some. He devises forces and gets some win, and that's annoying for me. Like, he's killing mechs and prevents it from expanding. It's pretty good raiding. Yeah. He shouldn't have lost his con here, but yeah, that's a micro mistake. And it's costly for me to try to run down these glaives. I'm bringing a red back, and it's still not enough. So yeah, Katastrophe do pretty well still. And yeah. Like, Ronins are decent against lone Lotusers. You can burst them down pretty effectively. So yeah. So, like, you can go from just pure glaive spam into, like, Ronins and mix it in, and it's pretty annoying for the spider plate to deal with. You can get a lot of momentum. Going against this, yeah, I'm building turrets all the time because I'm worried about Ronins and glaives. And it's kind of good that he's ignoring them. He could push out a few hammers maybe and start damaging these. You can see here, yeah, I say it's the right choice to not send in these forces against my commander and all these turrets. Yeah, and he's trying to push me back, and I'm still relying only on redback because there's still a lot of glaives, and yeah, I know if I can sort of like hurt them, I can sort of counter them. Yeah. But you can see here, just these few Ronins are pushing them back. I'm constantly producing fleas just to like push them and herd them away. So that's something you have to watch out for. Like you can't leave them on. You have to keep attention to them so they don't like gets off and gets eaten by herded by fleas and then killed by redbacks or run into defenses or something like that. Yeah. So I say this composition is pretty good from Katastrophe. Like he is doing quite a bit of like this is hard to deal with for spiders. They can get out recluses, but that's expensive. So I'm just trying to hang on here until I'm starting to make recluses now. I know that recluses will counter this, but I need critical mass of recluses to actually stop these from doing damage to me. So yeah. So now the question for Katastrophe is if he should go back or what he should do. Like he can't go in against this. Like these reavers are buying him time, but yeah, he's gonna rotate him now. But yeah, this is pretty good. Like he's trying to get my commander and he's starting to attack my turrets with hammers, with slings, the artillery, and that's pretty good. Like you can kill defense slowly, and my commander is looking pretty alone here, so I'm starting to get worried. Like you see, he went thrust into here, and then he has surrounded my commander and killed most of the defenses. So now I have to make a mad dash for the commander. But I'm gonna try to dodge rocket missiles. And here's the point where if you had like 10 glaives, you could have run in there now and kill the commander. But that's the thing, it's hard to predict. Like you might have wasted your glaives when you're about to kill the enemy commander. So I think I managed to escape here. Like I'm making some defense here and trying to run back their defenses. And the fleas help, like, otherwise if I hadn't had the fleas here, the Ronins would probably have killed my commander. So just buying time and like killing a few Ronins, that can be worth a lot for the spider player. Just to have them ready, just have 10 fleas ready, just to go in against the Ronins at all times. Yeah, and he's trying to advance, but I have 2 Lotus turret here, and that's pretty decent. So yeah. But now the recluses are starting to make cost, and yeah, you might like have, how many do I have out? 5. Now is the time to think about, oh, he's gonna go for my command with bombers. And that's how he gets it. Yeah, that's a nice, decent finish, but it could also have been finished off with like 10 glaives earlier. So yeah. But I'd say that ravens are pretty decent against spiders, like they can't really respond quickly with units to kill it, and their AA is pretty expensive. And you can bombing recluses is really cost effective. Like you're almost making cost by just bombing one recluse. Yeah, but he's being a bit sloppy here and losing units. Like you should try to Ronins can clear up these pretty cost effective, but I guess he's been focusing here mostly. So if you look at the total value, Katastrophe is a bit ahead. And he is making some more, about the same metal. But yeah, now it gets tricky for Cloakies because they have to deal with so many recluses. So bomb them when they're out of these redback range. That's a decent choice. Like if you would have bombed that one or that one, for example. Yeah. But I'm starting to push back here. And he's trying to advance here, and this, yeah, it's hard to know what is too much and what's not, but this is too much for this. So yeah. Like he's still ahead, he's still making pretty good value. I run in with some fleas and check the base. And he apparently happens to have nothing, and he built a jumper factor, which is a decent choice, I think. Going for firewalkers and juggernauts, that's a good choice against spiders. But I managed to get it because it doesn't have any lotus turrets or glaives walking around. And it was just building Ronins for the moment, so that was kind of lucky by me. I wanted to kill this because I don't want him to get firewalkers. That's a hard counter to these recluses. And it's all pretty good, almost hard counters the whole spider factory. Except maybe Crave, but Crave doesn't really like them too well. Like a Crave can sit on a hill and defend against a Firewalker, but yeah, you're not gonna attack uphill into a Firewalker with a Crave. It's gonna take too much damage and it's gonna be weak. So yeah, you can see that Katastrophe is using his units to like get something done, and it kills his expansion. So it's making good cost. And I decide, since I didn't see any defenses here before, I decided to go in with my spiders. Yeah. And yeah, you're not quite prepared for this. Like, this is what, 2,300 worth of spiders. And yeah. And that's not much. Like, you're ahead in before this. Like, one Stinger would probably, earlier than this, would probably have off this. But now, I'm just going in and you don't have any defense. And you're still sending Ronins away here. Like, these could have been here trying to defend. So yeah, basically just underreacted to this. And I just barely hang on with one redback and 3 recluses. Yeah, and you can see here that this damaged Raven is holding up the pad. It could have been out bombing now, but they will try to get fully repaired unless you give them another order. And you can see how he's just clawing, dodging these Ronin shots with this redback. Yeah. And this Raven is still repairing, so I'm just dodging missile shots with his redbacks. And I get less factory. That's very good for me, because now Katastrophe is out of factory. Yeah. And that's gonna slow down his production a lot. He has nothing there. And doing this, I managed to clean up most of this with recluses and fleas. Yeah. So yeah, it was just an underreaction, I'd have to say. Like, you had some Ronins going away, and the Sting was built too late. You could have also spammed Lotus turrets against the redbacks, would have helped. And yes, then the Ronins would have given you more time, and the Stinger would have held them away. So it was, yeah, mostly an underreaction, and a little bit like sloppy letting these Ronins go away. Because you were pretty far ahead until that point. Yeah. So yeah. Like, you're a bit behind, but you're not very far behind. But I'm gaining territory, so I can see why you would feel like giving up at this point. Yeah, like getting out a Firewalker and trying to counter these recluses can work, but yeah, it would be a long way back, and you could have a potential comeback. Like, I would have considered what to do against a Firewalker, but it depends. But I would have held this territory as well. So yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'd say you did pretty well with how you pushed out and sacrificed. Well, not really sacrificed, but made cost-effective trades and forced me back. Like, you had more, like, we were pretty even on metal. And yeah, you managed to kill more than me quite a lot of the game. Yeah. And then in the end, I made you excess and kill your factory. I wouldn't say lucky, but I saw a chance and took it, and you were not prepared for that. So yeah. Yeah. Well played.